Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Mitch. Good Tuesday evening to you all. Hope you guys are doing well out there and, more importantly, staying safe. It's been very active. We always thought it would be for today, and it certainly has been. We've had multiple reports of tornadoes, confirmed tornadoes, which we have seen the damage on social media, things like that, in and around the Houston area, outside the Houston area, and just portions kind of riding around the southeast coastline, really just off and just inland off the coast. It's been very active, and this has moved into Louisiana now, which is where it's at, and will continue to have nasty weather that trails the entire Gulf coastline all the way into the panhandle of Florida, and then eventually into the southeast and as far east as the eastern sections of North Carolina tomorrow. So it just tells you how fast this is moving, and it's just been very active today. So I know that this is ongoing right now. I understand that a lot of you folks are probably watching the folks going live, like Ryan Hall, which does an awesome job. By the way, I heard that he mentioned me in his channel and his live stream, so that's always cool. And that's what it's all about, guys. You know, there's a lot of people who do this on YouTube. It's all about, and I'm not naming any names because honestly, I can't think of any, but I've seen it kind of firsthand out there in the weather community. People are just all about just promoting themselves, and that's it. But you got to look out for one another too, and it's pretty cool that there's certain people in the community that certainly try to help out and lift out others as you're yourself is trying to grow too. So that's always great to see, and it's certainly appreciated by him on his part. So anyways, we're going to figure it out. I'm going to do my part in trying to figure out this storm for you guys. It's already ongoing. Like I said, it's been puking snow in areas of northern Arkansas. This is moving into southern sections of Missouri. So I'm a little tired, guys, a little burnout, not going to lie, just talking on this storm leading up. The videos have been long. And, after this, I'm certainly going to shorten the videos, and we're going to figure out what's going to happen for the first part of February, which is we are knocking on the door of. But we're going to talk about you folks in the Ohio Valley a good bit in the Northeast, and then we'll give you an update on the severe weather threat across the Southeast tomorrow. If you guys have not subscribed, certainly consider doing that, and I appreciate everybody who has subscribed over the last week and a half leading up to the storm. Hit me up on Twitter. It's fun. We like to have a lot of fun on there. It's not always super serious. Of course, we're serious when we need to be serious, but it's always also a great way to follow along. Twitter is an excellent way. Facebook, I'm pretty active. It just takes a while to get back to you folks on Facebook because I'm just not as active on there. Just hard to manage everything, but just normal life going on. You guys know that. But and if you guys got anything that I can pray about, pray over, please put those in the comments below. Hopefully there's been no fatalities today. I haven't heard of any. But you guys correct me if I'm wrong. But I haven't heard any, just a lot of damage. But we'll take a look at what's going on. I mentioned yesterday evening that this storm would look a lot different this time tomorrow. We are now at this time tomorrow at present time. And this has that classic look of a dynamic storm to it. You got a lot of moisture on top, a lot of convection down here to the south, and this is just erupting across portions of the country. We look at watches and warnings, things and that nature, tons of wind advisories, high wind warnings, high wind watches. Most of the watches have went to an advisory or warning. You got ongoing tornado warnings going on. Let's take a look at the updated one. Yes, still tornado warnings and flash flood warnings ongoing down here. Winter storm warnings up for the same areas. Basically, they had winter storm warnings this morning. And winter storm watches still up for the middle of Pennsylvania, where there's just still a little bit of a hesitation to pull the trigger on a warning. But a big time storm is on the way for you folks in the Northeast, and we'll break it all down for you guys. We're going to do a lot of this video on the fly, not going to lie, but that kind of rhyme. There you go. But we'll take a look at what's going on with the snow around right now. And first off, I want to go right to the radar out of Little Rock. For you guys in Little Rock, and we can try to get this pulled up here. Little Rock right here, it's just rain. But this is a winter weather fan's worst nightmare. It is snowing. You don't have to drive too far up the interstate to hit snow, but even in areas like Morrilton right here, Arkansas, you're still struggling to switch to snow. But the rain-snow line, I imagine, is probably more so up here rather than right here, even though you see all this blue on the map. But this is what's going on, and really this is what we've been talking about over the last week, right? We always knew that there would be a stout cutoff in the rain-snow line. But, it's pouring down snow in the hills, elevation-driven areas. It's snowing and barely above freezing or right around at freezing. It's still snowing back in areas of Oklahoma City. Let's see what's going on in old Dallas right now. I didn't even think about Dallas. See what's going on. Just let me know what you're seeing, guys. And this is that back-end moisture. It's happening right now, pulling through Dallas as I speak as of 6:25 Central Time. This was that chance to see some back-end snow in Dallas-Fort Worth area. It's moving through now. You're having some reports of sleet and snow northwest of town. And this will have a chance to maybe dump a little back end snow for you guys, but not going to be a big time event for you folks whatsoever. But one radar we'll go to, let's go to St. Louis radar right here, and let's like I said, I'm going to do some of this on the fly, guys, and we're not going to be so strict with the format of this video, but here we go. The moisture moving now. It's already moved into Missouri, guys. Southern Missouri, starting to move into southern Illinois, and it's knocking on the doorstep of St. Louis. There's almost a guarantee it's going to start out probably as a little rain in St. Louis, and even down here where you're seeing blue, it's drizzle and rain. So it's got to cool down that column. Dynamic cooling has to occur in these regions, and then we'll see what happens. You know, I've had a lot of air people for areas of Indiana, like Evansville, things like that. We'll go to the Paducah, Kentucky radar, which kind of covers that area right into there. Come on, switch for me. Internet's a little slow, but here we go. You know, even in the blue, it's still rain. Paducah right here, the moisture's starting to feed in. You're going to start out as rain for all these areas right into here first. And then I think you will have a period of snow that could be quite intense. So it just depends. It just depends. And we're going to know what's going to happen in this area by the time we get about 4, 5, 6 hours from now. I'll be asleep, but I'll certainly be up at around 3:30, 4 o'clock to see what you guys are seeing. But we'll flip it back to the radar here, the HRRR model, and see what's going on. We'll continue. If you're confused about any time frame we're at, I know it's pretty small on your phone screens or TV screens. Back this up 1 hour, and that's Central Time. This is in Eastern Time. So we're getting at 10, 11 p.m. tonight. We're getting into about midnight at this point. The rain should be switching to heavy snow at this point in St. Louis Point South. Heavier the precipitation is in this area of cooler air, the higher chance you switch to heavy snow. It's still going to be snowing like crazy here in the hills of northwest Arkansas and the mountains. Still snowing back here in eastern Oklahoma pretty heavily. And this is your chance. If you're in Evansville, southwest Indiana, southern Illinois, maybe a few counties and far northwest Kentucky, if it's going to snow, it's going to start snowing around midnight, and we just got to see how long it lasts. At this point, you stop it here, snowing pretty good in Evansville. And you know what? We can get a little bit closer for you guys. I don't know why we're so far away here. Let's go on and switch it to Indiana. And here we go. Here comes the snow. It's a lot closer. We can have a much better view at it. Snowing starts to snow in Chicago probably around 3, 4 o'clock tonight. It's snowing like crazy in St. Louis at this point. But here comes that dry slot right here. This could knock down some snow totals, especially in southern Ohio. But really in southern Ohio, and I'm trying to do all this without getting ahead of myself right here. I do not have the energy I've had the last several evenings, guys. I'm not going to lie. I'm burnt out. Just a little tired, guys, and trying to muscle my way through it. But, if you're in Cincinnati, for example, we'll stop this here. This is around midnight. Starts off as some heavy rain at first, and it quickly can turn to a period of snow. How much snow do you get? Depends on how long you stay snow. You could get a 2 to 5 hour period of heavy snow before switching over. And we'll stop it here. This is about 5 o'clock in the morning. Maybe some lake enhanced snow off the southern tip of Lake Michigan that could enhance your snow for areas of Chicago and surrounding regions. But obviously, the further south you go of Chicago, the heavier the snow. Springfield, Illinois, pouring down snow at this point. St. Louis snowing really hard at about 5 a.m. Tomorrow morning. Snow beginning to enter in southern areas of Michigan, snowing at this point, and Detroit will probably move into Detroit probably 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, snowing in Cleveland at this point. And then here, this is the really heavy banding of snow right here. Low pressure moving into here, dry slot, flirting with Indianapolis at this point. But if you stay all snow in Indianapolis and stay all heavy snow, where the heaviest snow will be right near that low pressure. We're getting into 7 a.m. It's barely still heavy snow in Indianapolis. If you stay all snow, guys, somebody could sneak in potentially a half a foot, guys. I'm sorry, a foot of snow. I think it's possible, but you keep moving here. It switches to some back-end heavy snow, still snowing. It could be snowing pretty good tomorrow about mid-morning in Chicago. But look at this. Snow in Cleveland. Starts snowing in Cleveland about 3, 4 a.m. Snow. And then in Cleveland, it might switch. It might switch to rain around lunchtime tomorrow. Look at this big, massive dry slot. About midday, Detroit could be getting hammered with heavy snow. Northwest Ohio, heavy snow. And somebody might get a little bit less than they're expecting due to a dry slot. We got to watch for that. But these snowfall rates in this region right here are going to be insane tonight. If you can get a period of snow in like Evansville, and any section of southwest Indiana, southern areas of Illinois here in the next several hours, and you can switch to some heavy snow, and you get about, say, 2 to 3 hours of snow, you could get 3 to 4, 5 inches of snow in that period. I mean, I've seen videos out of Arkansas already, and even Texas and Oklahoma. And it's verified. I talked about last night how these flakes are going to be massive. It's been verifying like that. Very heavy snow. Please let me know what y'all are seeing and how much snow y'all got on the ground tonight. I would love to know. But this continues to move in. Heavy snowfall rates moving through Indiana, and then starts knocking on the door of Cincinnati, moving into western sections of Ohio. And then, like I said, a little bit later tomorrow, a heavier backside band will pull through Indianapolis and drop another probably several inches of snow on the ground. And this will eventually make its way. And come on, man, I clicked 18Z. This will make its way up to like Detroit, where you could get a very heavy period of snow late tomorrow morning into early tomorrow afternoon. But somebody here in Ohio is not going to get as much snow as they think they're going to get. And then somebody could get more. It depends on what that front end band is. It really does. But we'll back it up here. We'll look at from my folks up here in the Northeast, and let's back it up to regions. Like I said, doing a lot of this on the fly tonight, guys. So if I'm not as prepared, I do apologize. But we'll start this out Wednesday morning. I'm gonna be highly interested to see what this band does right here. This is a solid front end thump of snow. Does it get its act together and hit Pittsburgh? If it does not, then Pittsburgh is not going to get much snow. But what does this band do for north of Pittsburgh, around Pittsburgh, up to Erie, State College, north central and northern areas of Pennsylvania? Does it make it all the way to New York City? Latest long-range HRR model says no. And the trend has been for that not to happen. But this little weird comma-like feature, this little area like sticking out right into here, that is going to be a frontogenesis band of snow, and you could get 1 to 2 inch per hour rates in this band. And we're moving into about 10 a.m., 11 a.m., and this is around lunchtime, and this is an intense, relatively small band of heavy snow moving through Connecticut into southern and southwest sections of Mass, the Hudson Valley, and then this is the main brunt of the storm. Really, the more intense these thunderstorms are down here, like in the Carolinas and the Georgia, the more it robs the moisture from the top of this storm. So if you have some very intense storms to the south, you will get robbed with moisture up here. This happens a lot with these kind of systems. When they're really dynamic, you kind of get a screw zone that develops for winter weather fans. It's going to happen somewhere. But look at this heavier snow moving into the hills of southern Pennsylvania, these higher elevation, western Maryland. I really think some heavy snow moves in, especially those higher elevations, probably around 8, 9 a.m. tomorrow morning. And it could really be coming down. I'm talking 2-3 inch per hour rates as possible. I'm aiming towards more 1 to 2 inch per hour rates, but it's going to snow pretty good. But here we go. And really, the wild card here for southern New England. And one thing I want to note, if you're hugging the coast, you're probably going to mix with rain. But I'll stop this right here. This is around 5, 6 p.m. tomorrow. Snowing for all of southern New England just about, except the coastal regions and Long Island, which Long Island really isn't considered New England, I don't think. You guys correct me if I'm wrong up here in the Northeast. But New York City, you're going to struggle. I think if you're going to get any snow in New York City, it's going to be from the very beginning and then some backside moisture that will try to swing through. But I don't have high hope for that for you guys. But here comes the dry slide, guys. Front end solid several hours of snow for New York State in the morning leading up to the afternoon. And then look at this dry area right here. As the low pressure surging through, warm air gets to the surface, and you might switch to rain for Buffalo before switching back to snow. And if you guys don't get much snow in Pittsburgh, there could be some intense back-end moisture overnight tomorrow night that could give you guys maybe an inch or two of snow. You don't know. But look at these strong storms way out in the Atlantic. So it just tells you, man, there is a massive moisture feed. And I know I keep going back and forth. I know you guys are like, Mitch, you're really confusing me going back and forth like this. But I want to talk about my folks in New Hampshire, Vermont, and Maine. This storm really intensifies for you guys tomorrow afternoon. And then for Maine tomorrow late evening into the overnight hours, where y'all are going to get some intense snowfall, especially if you're hugging the southern regions. Now, if you're right up on the ocean, you're probably going to struggle mixing with rain, but you might not. But look, man, this is some insane snowfall rates for you folks in southern Maine. in the down east areas of Maine and just, far southern Maine. And, even southern sections of New Hampshire and Vermont and the lower elevations are probably going to turn into just a cold, wind-driven rain. I mean, it's pouring in Boston after maybe getting a few hours of snow. But even the coastal regions of Maine is going to switch to rain. By the time you get into Thursday morning, I think Caribou will stay. You might get a daggum storm in Caribou after you get heavy snow. Weird system. Very dynamic. A lot of moisture, guys. But as far as the snowfall rates, we already talked about this for the Ohio Valley. But for the Northeast, guys, like I said, this band is for somebody in Pennsylvania, potential for 1 to 2 inch per hour snowfall rates. And then you're going to get a nice banding, maybe 1 inch per hour snowfall rates as we're getting into later morning for the southern New England region. And then the actual real moisture of the storm moves into Pennsylvania. And you're going to be getting 1/2 inch to 1.5 inch snowfall rates in areas of Pennsylvania, special central areas right here. Scranton, you could get a good thumping of snow from this and eventually probably turn to rain. But really, look at this band up here that could potentially set up right down here. Right as the warm air advection gets really close, but you're still cold enough for snow. Warm air advection saturates the column, which allows for all moisture to get to the surface. But the closer you are to that heavy wet snow, the closer you are to that rain snow line. And inevitably, you will change to rain for even coastal regions of Maine. So, snowfall, listen, some of this is already fallen. We'll take a look at the radar one time here. And this, you're starting to have more reports of snow in southern Missouri. Still in Little Rock reporting rain. But, some of this has already fell, obviously. I don't know how much snow y'all got in the ground on northwest Arkansas, but the National Weather Service, their latest update here, still several inches of snow is going to fall. Southern Missouri, still several more inches to come. It's just the beginning of the storm for you folks. You go up to Missouri, St. Louis, expecting probably 4 to 5 inches out of this. Kansas City, 1 to 2 inches, I think, from the National Weather Service, 2 to 3 inches for Columbia, Missouri. Springfield, getting into Indiana right here. Still, nothing's really changed, guys. This continues to be the wild card area, and we're going to know what it's going to do in this area here in the next few hours. We are. But, the snowfall totals have increased a little bit for Chicago. I think you can squeeze in maybe 3 to as much as 5 inches of snow. And this has trended to a bigger event, but not a big event for you guys as standards. 3 inches of snow in my backyard here in Columbia, man, I would be going crazy. You should have saw me over 2.5 inches of snow a year ago. And you folks have been watching, know how I acted. But there's going to be a corridor of heavy snow from south central Illinois through central Indiana. That includes you, Indianapolis, through northwest Ohio, all the way up to Detroit, where you could get widespread, I think, 6 to 9 inches of snow. Someone's going to squeeze in 10 inches of snow. And someone might get an isolated foot, depending on if you just continuously stay in a band. But Ohio, tricky. From Cincinnati to Columbus, there could be a nice accumulating swath of snow in this area. But I think some of your snow comes in after the storm pulls away with some wraparound moisture. I really think y'all can get. But Cleveland, 3 to 4 inches of snow. Dayton, maybe 5, maybe as close to 6 inches of snow. But it's going to be close. It's going to be close. I think you'll get most of your snow in the beginning of the storm. And then, we're going and just look at the Northeast, guys, because I'm running out of time. And I'll be honest, I'm just flat out running out of steam. I really look forward to the day if that I can do this full time and don't have to manage all these other things and can put more time and energy to this. But it's life. You just keep rolling. But sometimes I get to rambling, guys, and these videos end up being 30 minutes long when probably your average weather video out there is maybe 10 to 15 minutes long. But I just want to get you guys valuable information and spend a little bit more sensitive time in these individual regions instead of just breeze through it, guys. But this is a big event for the Northeast, but what I have noticed is some of the snowfall totals have dropped a little bit. But Maine, this is going to be a big storm for you guys. Not big for you guys standards. Nothing y'all guys can't handle up here. 8 to 12 inches of snow widespread, but it's going to struggle. In the extreme coastal regions of Maine, they don't have high confidence that band is going to really set up. But I know you areas bordering the extreme coastline, maybe your local news isn't calling for much. Of course, you always want to stay, listen to them more than me. But watch out for a heavy band of snow tomorrow night. I really do think you need to watch out. But I think several inches of snow could fall in southern New England, depending on your location, especially if you're in some higher hills, and just north and northwest of New York City into northern New Jersey, and then some of the higher elevations of New York State could get over a 1/2 foot of snow. Binghamton, they're thinking 4 to 5 inches of snow. some of the snowfall totals have dropped for this region right here in New York State because of a dry slot. It's really developed and picked up on the radar, and I think it's because the system is going to become moisture starved. That's my opinion on this, but you continue to move it. This is the latest HRRR model. I mean, it's still, pumping out some high-end totals for these regions, and it's still snowing. So I show you this because this down here, look how close it is. Look how much snow it gives you for southern Illinois, southern areas of Indiana compared to the National Weather Service. So I don't think you're going to get 8 inches of snow right here where Missouri, Kentucky, and Illinois meet, but, somebody's going to get a surprise. Somebody is, guys. So that's enough on the snow. I don't know why I got this panel pulled up, but there it is. That's cool. Latest Storm Prediction Center. We'll see if there's an update with this. There's not. This will likely begin to get cut from west to east, but this is between now and tomorrow morning. There's still an enhanced region. And listen, I mean, this is still raging on. We'll go to the radar out of New Orleans and see what this line of storms looks like right now. And you still got ongoing tornado warnings. I haven't looked at my phone, but this, right here near Lafayette, there's a tornado warning. That's the only tornado warning I'm seeing right now. And this could be producing a tornado. I haven't, this is probably more so still in the Lake Charles range, but I haven't looked at the velocity scan. But, Ryan Hall and some of these other guys out here are doing a great job keeping you guys alert. He has such an awesome setup with storm chasers and alerts, and just, it's really cool what he does, man. I can see why people tune in because he has the right idea and the right setup. But, you check this out. There's still a steady moisture feed ahead of this main feeder band. And the idea, guys, is this is going to continue to go this way, okay? And then everybody in this region tonight is going to run a risk of seeing a tornado into tomorrow morning. So Mobile, Gulfport is always a city I forget about in southern Mississippi. Tallahassee, New Orleans, this is coming. So please have a way to get alerts tonight, okay? Just have a way, guys. I'm telling you, don't ignore any alerts because from all the video that we've seen, all this stuff has been rain wrapped. Man, there's a little bit of some reports of sleet up here in northern Mississippi. I was not expecting that. That's cool. Let me know what you're seeing in northern Mississippi. But anyways, we'll continue to go. This is what the storms are going to look like overnight. I'll start us off right now. HRRR model's doing pretty well, and we continue to move through. New Orleans, Baton Rouge, I say these move through around 10 p.m. tonight, and then they'll head on out by the time it's midnight. These storms will continue to knock on the door of Gulfport probably as early as about midnight, 1 a.m. Move through Mobile, Alabama, about 1 a.m. These storms will move through. And then there's been a steady trend of intensification right as it's approaching almost sunrise. It's not even close. It's about 3 a.m. still. But as these storms in the far southern counties of Alabama and western panhandle of Florida, as they begin to enter the states, there could be some re-intensification, and this looks ugly. So this is going to be happening at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning when most of us are asleep, and these storms can be dangerous. So please, guys, have a way to get alerts in the western panhandle of Texas, guys. And this takes us all the way out to about 7 a.m., and this is knocking on the door of Tallahassee at this point. Please, in this area, it looks like the storms re-intensify in the western panhandle of Florida tonight, but tomorrow, there's a slight risk of severe storms. We'll see if this uptrends. I don't think it will, but you got a little area right down here that has a 5% risk of seeing a tornado down here in southeast Georgia and areas of the panhandle of Florida, and then the northeast coastline of South Carolina and the coastal regions of North Carolina. So maxed out potential down here due to thermodynamics, and another area right up here due to kinematics because this is closer to the actual low pressure. So that's why there's two little separate areas and nothing in between. I hope that makes sense. But here we go. We'll take a look at what the radar can look like for this tomorrow. And here's these storms. They start to move in. This is getting into about 7 a.m. The sun's beginning to rise. Storms moving through Atlanta probably sometime as you're waking up and getting ready for work or coming home from work if you work the night shift. But more so just heavy rain up here. But there could be some strong winds and a very low-end tornado threat. You just never know. But what happens here is the low pressure is pulling to the north. So it's not real tucked in really deep to the south. So at this point, you got warm, moist air. So you'll notice if you're in Augusta, Columbia, even Atlanta, Savannah, Charleston, Myrtle Beach, Charlotte, you'll notice you'll go to sleep and it's still cold outside. You'll wake up tomorrow and it's warmer outside than it was when you went to bed tonight. That's the moist sector getting pulled up from this low pressure. That's going to add some ingredients for severe weather for this line of storms that's going to move through tomorrow morning. So at this point, we'll stop it here. This is around 8 a.m. tomorrow morning. Line of storms moving through Georgia. They'll be the most intense down here. For Columbia and Augusta, Greenville, Spartanburg, for example, 9, 10 a.m. storms move through. And for my folks in Columbia, where I'm located, Augusta, sometime about late morning around lunchtime. And then, southeast Georgia here begins to move through. And they could intensify because you got some daytime heating down here. So watch out for some damaging winds, a tornado threat here. And then we look up here in North Carolina. And like I said, as we're getting a little bit later in the day, there's going to be, watch out the Outer Banks, far eastern, the coastal plains of North Carolina, and down here. You could get some warming. There's plenty of kinematics. And I really think as this system is pulling off the coastline, someone in here is going to get a few tornado warnings tomorrow evening, right as this is exiting the eastern coastline and we're done with this system. I'm telling you, these storms are going to intensify very quickly tomorrow evening. And hopefully they'll be on out of here before they do. But, you stop this right here and just tells you how long North Carolina is. Severe thunderstorms, potentially rotating storms in the Outer Banks, and snow already moving into the mountains of North Carolina. Just dynamic system, guys. And normally when you have a dynamic system, it pulls in cold air behind it. That's all I got, guys. Thank y'all for the incredible support with just talking about this. Thank y'all for the growth. Thank you for any new subscribers I picked up in different geographical regions of the country. And thank you for trusting just a guy just talking from a bedroom in South Carolina. It means the world. And I hope you guys stay safe, especially for you folks in the South. If you're a snow fan, hope you enjoy your snow. If you really want to see some crazy snowfall rates, stay up late tonight. I know I would be happier than a kid in the candy shop if I was in certain areas up there in the Ohio Valley. I tell you, I get happy. I'm just hoping and praying that, I don't pray for snow necessarily because, I know God listens to all prayers, but, I typically keep the prayers for more important things that truly matter in life. But, snow matters to certain people, but certainly hoping and praying we can get something to talk about for us folks in the Southeast. We all know we get very excited around here. I know you guys in the Southeast, are wondering, hey, Mitch, when is it going to snow in Raleigh? When is it going to snow in Charlotte? When is it going to snow in Virginia, Atlanta, Knoxville, Nashville? I don't know. But once we get past this storm, we're going to take a look at the pattern and see what we can figure out for you guys and see if we can bring in something cool and something special in February. God bless all y'all. Good night and stay safe out there.